Mark is the host of the Singles Lifeline radio show, which can be heard on WTTP 1061 AM on Sundays from 7 to 10 p.m. Whew. And he also writes a syndicated newspaper column, especially for singles. Welcome to Main Street, Mark.
Welcome to Main Street, Mark. Yeah. Thank you very much.
I can see this is going to be one of those nights for me, I just know. Mark, how did you first become involved in concentrating on singles?
Well, about a year ago, I was involved in retail. And I decided that I didn't want to be in retail anymore, working 70 hours, so I had to come up with something quick. And singles just seemed to be a good thing. There was really nothing available for them in Boston besides one dating show. So I decided to come up with a concept that no one else has, and we're the first show in the country to allow singles to actually talk to one another on the air about different problems.
Now, I understand the show is copyrighted, the format of the show. And that's to preserve its uniqueness, which is what?
The format is actually copywritten.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that the talking back and forth that makes it unique?
Well, the first 2 hours of the show are talking about certain subjects that have to do with singles. We can talk about loneliness, depression, happiness, divorce, whatever comes up, and we take calls from the audience and talk to them about it. This week, for instance, we're going to be talking with 4 psychotherapists, and they'll be counseling people actually on the air. If people have a problem, they'll call up and we'll talk to them about it.
What are some of the problems that face single people that make it, you know, so difficult?
I guess the biggest one is loneliness. There is a lot of loneliness. There's a lot of fun, too, but there's loneliness interspersed with that. And I guess that's the main problem that singles face. There's a constant struggle to find someone to be with, and the pressure of their friends and peers and parents to get married, you know. What
kind of age group generally do you deal with the most?
The average listener of my show is 34 years old, but we have people from their 20s to their 60s and 70s.
And are these single people who've been single always, or does it tend to be divorced people?
We have 60% of our audience is divorced. Yeah, most of the people actually are divorced. There are very few who have been single all their lives like myself.
Oh, you've been single all your life?
All my...
Gosh, such a long time.
My long life.
So it doesn't, being single doesn't appear to be a problem for the young single then, the, you know, say 20 to 25-year-old, 26.
It's the people that are in their 30s and 40s, especially women and men who are just recently separated or divorced. They're in the middle of a river with no boat and no paddle, and they don't know where to go. And that's really where my show comes in. We recommend different places every week to go and different things to do. We have advertisers who cater to singles, and we present them with some alternatives, rather than trying to go into a bar, which is not a good place to meet someone that you want to settle down with for life.
And where would be? I mean, how can you help initiate that process?
Well, I'm an advisor to a church group in Stoughton, for instance. It's a single support group, and there's thousands of groups around now that have sprouted up for singles. There's Parents Without Partners and things of that ilk, for that type of person that has a couple of kids and just got divorced and they don't know where to go.
Is it more men than women, or is it pretty much equal?
Well, I think under 30 we have much more men that listen, and over 30 there's more women.
Really?
And that again is reflecting the statistics of the population, the demographics.
There are more
women over age 30 than there are men.
Oh dear.
Because men die younger, so because they live with women, so.
Wait a minute now.
Phone should be ringing up.
I was going to say, call in, girls. We have a few things to say here. Now, tell us about your newspaper column.
Well, that's carried in the Associated Weeklies and a few other papers. And will shortly be in a Boston paper, which I can't name right now. But
you can or you can't?
Can't.
Can't,
as you would say. And we deal with something different every week, just like the show does. We've talked about dating over 30, where to find people. We've talked about social events coming up and all different problems.
So are there events that are scheduled that are just for people over 30?
Yeah, in fact, there's dating services for people over 50 and 60.
Are there really?
Yeah, there are so many dating places. It's incredible that have opened dating services. There's some there's dating services for gay people. There's dating services for young people, for people with children, everything.
So where would a person that was, say, 35 or so, where would they go? Say it was a woman. Where would they go to, you know, where it would be okay?
Well, she can go to the Singles Lifeline night at the Prince Restaurant in Saugus.
This is something you run?
Yeah.
I should have known.
Why not?
And what's that? Tell us about that then.
Well, it's a night that singles can get together. There's no admission charge, and there's no pressure to to mingle. It's a group. We have an Irish music man, John Cochran, there, and we give away free pizza all night, and it's just a good time.
Really? And what do people do? Do they just sort of hang around and talk? Or
yeah, they
do
talk,
dance,
they dance, and we have I give away trivia. I stole some of Bill's thunder. I have a trivia contest myself.
You do?
Yeah.
Well, just hold that thought for a second, because I think we have a phone call. Hello, yes, you're on Main Street. Hello? Hi. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes, please go ahead.
My question to the guest is the concept of prearranged marriages. In the old days, it was the duty of the parents to arrange marriages for their children. And that concept of that idea has fallen out of fashion. But the idea of what you're trying to do is basically the same thing. And I'd like to ask the guest his philosophy. I mean, if it continued, if more parents were involved in finding a spouse or arranging marriages, you know, does he have a top-of-the-head opinion about divorce and divorce rates?
I lost that last sentence. Did you catch that?
About divorce and divorce rates. But
yeah.
Well, let me first of all give you my opinion about parents. And
Are you sure
I wrote
okay?
a column on this. I think parents should just lay off their children totally about marriage. Leave them alone. Don't go saying you should be marrying this person, you shouldn't go out with this person. It's none of their business. You know, and they shouldn't be putting pressure on the children to get married, because all they do is create divorces, because they put children together that shouldn't be getting married. I have many friends, every one of them divorced, and every one of them, the parents said, oh, marry this girl, she's perfect for you. She's perfect because she was there and they wanted them to get married, and that's all. And they've all ended in divorce. So my advice to parents is to lay off the children, and if the children ask you for help, then give it. But don't give it when it's not asked for.
I bet your mum sits at home and says, Mark, when are you going to bring me home?
No, not at all. Girl? No, my mother says, no, she knows that I won't bring one of those home. I don't go out with them.
You're not being a very good advertisement for yourself.
No, I'm only joking.
He's joking,
I'm joking around.
Yeah.
But no, my mother doesn't put pressure on me, because she knows that I will just rip her head off because she's heard my show and she reads my column, so she knows my philosophy. Do
you ever get any crackpot people call?
Oh, sure.
Do you?
Yeah, I send them to another dating show on the lower part of the dial. I don't get too many weirdos, you know, except myself, and that's about it.
Right.
People of my ilk. But no, I don't get that many weirdos, because people know that I'm serious about what I'm doing, you know. I have a good time. My show is like one comedy routine after another, but people learn from it, too. They also learn some good jokes.
Really?
Yeah.
Any that you can tell?
No. My show's a lot more liberal, I think, than this place would be.
Yes, probably.
Yeah, we don't want to lose your license.
No, indeed. Well, what do you think then, in your estimation, what's the biggest single problem facing single people today?
Biggest single problem facing single people?
The biggest problem facing single people today.
I think it's probably the loneliness factor. But married people have the same problem. Because even if they're married, they can still be lonely.
Well, that can be lonelier.
I happen to espouse the single philosophy.
You espouse it?
Yes, I like being single.
The same thing I did.
And
right.
And I enjoy it. Okay, but there are some people that need someone else, and for them, marriage is great. If they can't function alone as a unit, then they need another part to make up the unit, and that's okay too.
So, what do you recommend for people if they have this loneliness? What do you tell them to do?
To get out instead of staying home. You know what? I get people that call me up and they go, your show's got losers on it. Well, you know, maybe some people would be called losers. Very few of them. I have doctors and lawyers, mostly professionals. But there are a couple of people you might consider a loser. But I consider a loser someone who stays home Saturday night, watches Fantasy Island and Love Boat, and then says, oh, life stinks.
Because they're not going out.
They're losers, because they're not moving, you know, they're not going out. They're caught in a fantasy.
It's still more difficult for women to go out than it is for men.
Sure it is. But women can go out together with a couple of other women.
Yeah, but you still, if you go to a bar or something, you sit there.
I don't recommend going to bars, but there are plenty of singles events that are good for women. Women should get involved, and the men too, in something that they like. Don't go to a dance because it says singles on it, but get involved with something like, if you like skiing, join the Boston Ski & Sports Club.
No, I see. Get
if your interest is in chess, join a chess club. Or a Scrabble club or something like that. But if you're doing something that you enjoy doing, okay, then the people you meet will automatically have something in common with you.
That's right, that's true. Hold on, I think we have another phone call. Yes, hello, you're on Main Street.
Yes.
Go ahead, please.